Last Tuesday, I was finishing up a meeting in my office when the all too familiar ring of an Amber Alert went through on my phone. And I picked it up and I promptly looked at it, only to find out that there was a 1-year-old baby girl who had been abducted. You can imagine how this grasped my heart, and I continued to follow the story through its progression. The next day, I learned the details. I learned that the mother of that child, the mother, Savannah, had been shot and killed by her ex-partner, Anthony. It was later revealed that Anthony had a record of violence and threats against Savannah, this young woman, this mom whose life was taken. The man had faced firearm-related charges in 2023 for an attack against Savannah. A court document stated that he, quote, did discharge a firearm while being reckless to the life of Savannah Rose Kala Davies. He even evaded the police for a month before finally being arrested by the Waterloo police. A short time later, however, he was out on bail. Sadly, while he was out on bail, he was free to continue his pattern of violence, and this time it ended in the fatal death of Savannah. Savannah knew that he was dangerous. She had once told her mom, quote, if I stay with him, he's going to end up killing me. As a result, she had left, but unfortunately the justice system failed to protect her. Despite his record and Savannah's repeated pleas, she was failed by those that were supposed to ensure her safety. Warnings were ignored, and ultimately death was the end of her. Far too often this is the case. This past summer, another woman, Bailey McCourt, was failed by our justice system and its weak laws as well. The proud mother of 2 young girls was bludgeoned to death by a hammer. Her ex was the culprit. That same afternoon, just hours before her life was taken, James had been convicted of 4 counts of assault by choking and uttering threats in a domestic violence case. Despite this, however, he was allowed to walk. He went and immediately killed Bailey. Sadly now, 2 little girls are growing up without a mom, and a family is left with a big hole in their heart. Bailey had lost her faith in the judicial system and in the court's ability to protect her. Her uncle even commented on this, saying that she was frustrated, scared, and felt altogether unsupported. Both Savannah and Bailey's stories lay bare a devastating truth, that our justice system all too often sides with the perpetrator and not with the victim. To say that our justice system is broken would be an understatement. So how did we get here? For 10 years, the Liberals have proudly stood behind 2 soft-on-crime policies, Bill C-75 and Bill C-5. C-5, the Liberals weakened deterrence and denunciation by repealing numerous mandatory minimum sentences and re-permitting conditional sentences, like house arrest for serious offenses extending all the way up to sexual assault. Under Bill C-75, the Liberals forced judges to release offenders at the earliest possible opportunity under the least onerous conditions. The decisions of legislators, Madam Speaker, have real consequences, and these soft-on-crime laws have now resulted in devastation after devastation after devastation. After a decade of negligence, the Liberals are finally realizing, it seems, that crime does take place when laws are present. But Bill C-14, unfortunately, does not go to the extent that it needs to. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. I'd like to discuss a few conservative proposals that would help bring about a right justice system. If the Liberals really do seek to address crime with real solutions, my Conservatives have put forward a number of bills. Over a dozen, to be clear. These are common sense proposals to end catch and release bail, restore accountability in sentencing, and put the rights of victims and communities ahead of the rights of repeat offenders. I will take my time to outline just 3 of those common sense proposals. 1, end sentence discounts. For a decade, the Liberals have favored criminals over victims with light sentencing in the form of concurrent sentences. Sexual assault charges should never be served concurrently. But this is the current practice in Canada. Predators get a 2-for-1 deal or a 3-for-1 deal or a 4-for-1 deal when they commit a crime. It's disgusting. It allows offenders to serve a single sentence for multiple crimes, often reducing their time behind bars significantly. In Toronto, a family doctor was convicted of 9 charges of sexual assault and 4 counts of sexual exploitation involving 3 of his patients. He was handed a concurrent sentence of only 3.5 years. Again, the penalty for his crimes were combined into one, therefore actually robbing justice from many of those victims. These patients were supposed to be able to go see their family doctor and feel safe and cared for, and instead they were exploited, they were taken advantage of. And instead of them being able to walk a life of freedom, they will bear these scars for a lifetime, while the man, the culprit, the perpetrator, he will go free very soon. Each offense is a distinct harm. Each victim is a whole person, and each act must carry its own consequence. My private member's bill, Bill C-246, would require that there would be consecutive sentences for those that commit sexual assault, rather than them being able to serve concurrently. The Liberals' Bill C-14 fails to address this practice. It fails to address the practice of giving these discount sentences for the most heinous crimes. Therefore, it lacks. A second proposal that my Conservative colleagues have brought forward that I believe this government should consider has to do with intimate partner violence. Across Canada, we know that women are being failed by a system unable to protect them from their known abusers. In both Savannah and Bailey's case, as outlined, their abusers were their ex-partners, something that is all too familiar in cases. About a quarter of all victims of violent crime are victimized by an intimate partner. My colleague, the member for Kamloops Thompson-Nicola, introduced Bill C-225, a bill designed to strengthen the legal response to intimate partner violence. And if the Liberals truly wish to address this, they would adopt the principles of that bill, and it would serve Canadians incredibly well. And the third bill that I would like to draw attention to has to do with bail. I recently heard from a grieving mother in my riding. She reached out to me from Lethbridge. Her daughter, Christine Weber, was brutally murdered on December 26th of last year, the day after Christmas. 3 individuals were charged in this murder. It was first degree. One of Christine's killers had been serving an intermittent sentence, meaning that he served time in prison on the weekends, but then he was allowed out during the week to supposedly work, though he did not have a job. It was during that time that he was out of prison that he committed this murder. Another one of Christine's killers was charged with first-degree murder, requested bail, and received it. She now lives in her home peacefully while she awaits trial. Meanwhile, Christine's family, her 2 young boys and her parents, they grieve the loss of this mom. It did not need to be that way. Conservatives have pushed for a long time for changes to our bail system. And recently, my colleague, the member for Oxford, introduced the Jail Not Bail Bill, which would have ensured that individuals charged with serious or violent offenses could not easily return to the community while they're waiting for trial. It prioritizes public safety. It puts the victim and the family first. Sadly, the Liberals voted against this bill. Conservatives welcome the Liberals' sudden recognition that bail reform is needed, but Canadians deserve so much more. They must have much more, because their lives matter, their safety matters, our communities matter. Canadians deserve better. They deserve safety, they deserve accountability, and they deserve laws that protect the innocent, not the violent. And so Conservatives will continue to fight for these changes, to strengthen sentencing, to reform bail, to put victims first. Because ultimately, it's people like Savannah and Bailey and Christine who deserve nothing less. And for crying out loud, I would hope for the sake of their families that we would want to do better.